in the ring, feel the adrenaline rush, throwing fists and kicks, the pain we can't hush. And then they find us, we're the real tough guys, breaking down barriers, we aim for the skies. Into the octagon like a warrior I stand, trading blows, taking hits as I command. The art of combat, I'm ready to go. Submission, knockout, that's how I flow. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling with might, the golden octagon, the stage we ignite. Unleashing the fury like an untamed beast, locked in a cage where strength is released. Striking precision, grappling might, the golden octagon, the stage we ignite.
And we are live. Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast with your hosts, Matt and D Rose.
And what's going on, y'all? Welcome to the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. My name is Matt. D Rose is right over there on that side of the screen. We hope you are all having a very fantastic Wednesday. Happy Wednesday to everyone. Glad you're all able to make it here to watch this show with us. So thank you for that. If you don't mind, hit that thumbs up button for your boy. You know, that would greatly help out the channel a ton. And I know D Rose would appreciate it too. You know, shout out D Rose for always being here. With that being said, welcome to the show, y'all. Appreciate y'all stopping by here. On today's show, we are on episode 191. On today's show, we are going to be recapping UFC 325. We have a new segment this year, D Rose. It's finally making a debut. It is the Wheel of Doom with lemons or fire. You guys can stick around, see what happens there. We will then go into our UFC news and fight announcements, and we'll close out the show with our UFC fight night. Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Loke Dog Oliveira. Our preview, our predictions, and our picks for this weekend's card. In the Meta Apex, they are calling it now. But before we do all that, D-Rose, talk to the people. How have you been over the past week, my guy?
Hey, you know what? I'm pretty pumped up. You know, I was kind of joking, before we started, and I said, hey, fun fights this week. But I was like, you know what, man? Hey, we got some fights this week because we did go 6 weeks without any, and
none next week.
Yeah, and dark next week. But we could do 1 weekend without, because is the NBA All-Star weekend?
I know it's Valentine's Day weekend.
Yeah, I know that's it too. So don't need to collide with anything like that. But yeah, going right back, and I think they're supposed to be going for like another 6 weeks straight or something like that. So hey,
starting off in Houston the week after, that's the one I'll be at, dude.
Hell yeah. As far as bets wise and stuff like that, still swinging and missing again, just like usual. I tried to take the New Year resolution, New Year, new me, but yeah, for some reason I'm betting it's just that approach is just not changing for some reason.
Yeah, man, it's tough. At the end of the day, it's a fist fight. Anything can happen. So that's just the way that the cookie crumbles, man. It's the way the cookie crumbles. But let's get into the chat real quick, and then let's get the show kicked off. Antoine is not a fan of his weather. He's so over it. We got Austin in here with the yo. We got Skonks in here with the yo. We got Dave in here with the Loke Dog fight week. He's ready to go. Fresh out the shower, boys. Had to wash the bullshit off today. Sorry you had a rough day, Antoine. I'm moving next weekend, perfect time for a dark week. So you ain't going to miss those fights, Dave. You're going to the Houston card. Yeah, I'll be there. My fiance wants to do something. We've been in this apartment for a few weeks now, and I think she's going to be starting a job soon. So, we'll have the apparently extra funds on her side. She said she's willing to pay for it. So I ain't going to complain, Hedda. I ain't going to complain. But yeah, D-Rose, let's go ahead and kick off the show with our UFC 325 recap. We'll start at our one early prelim that I guess we're going to talk about, that being Yi Jia versus Con Offley, dude. And dude, watching this fight, I thought it was a clear at least 2 rounds for Yi Jia, but when the judges announced the scorecard, there was a few 30-27s in there for Con Offley. I don't know how, especially after being dropped a couple times. Don't really understand the scorecards from the judges, but yeah, I guess that's what happens when you bet these low level fights, man. Like, you can be real confident in a person. Your eyes can tell you one thing while you're watching the fight, and then the judges just end up going for the hometown guy here, and ain't really anything you can do about it. What's your thoughts on Con Offley, Yi Jia?
Yeah, that was and I did not use the word robbery lightly, but as soon as that decision was announced, I told you immediately that was highway robbery. Like, there's no way that for me, Con Offley was literally getting whooped like the whole fight. Like, I kind of stopped watching it there in the third round, and I thought that the third round was the round where Con Offley did the most, in my opinion. But I thought he was literally getting lumped for pretty much the entire first and second round. And I think the second round, like, the strike differential was almost like 2-1, like, just in terms of, like, the numbers, like Yi Jia doubled them up. So highway robbery. Feel terrible for Yi Jia, but hopefully the UFC does right by him and maybe throws a little extra in his pocket, kind of considering it like a win bonus, because he 100% won.
Yeah, I feel the same, man. I feel the same. Antoine says, not a fan of the weather. And who's your Super Bowl prediction, D-Rose? I mean, is it anyone other than the Seahawks, man? Like,
but doesn't that feel like why the Patriots are going to win?
I don't know, dude. I don't know.
I know everybody's saying the same thing. Oh, well, it's the obvious pick, but doesn't it seem like the Patriots are almost kind of doing the old Patriot thing again? Like, they're coming in, not saying they're underdogs, and not saying Drake May's Tom Brady, but just they got the similar vibe, man. Mike Vrabel cut from the same cloth as Bill Belichick. I know this is a MMA podcast, not an NFL podcast, but man, something just in the air that I feel in New England. Not gonna lie.
That's fair, man. Whatever you feel. Moving on, start the regular prelims. We got Jonathan Metcalf taking on Obon Elliott, dude. Obon Elliott was knuckling up Jonathan Metcalf, dude. Round 2 started. It was more of the same. Jonathan Metcalf gets one takedown and fight's over. He wraps up the rear naked choke. I thought Obon Elliott was going to get out of it. He had some room there. And then before you know it, the hands were hidden. He was looking for the hands, couldn't find them, and he went to sleep, dude. He got a strong hug from Jonathan Metcalf. He wins via second round rear naked choke. What's your thoughts here?
Yeah, good performance from Mikalev. He was getting lumped up early on, and I did not think he was going to try to keep it striking. And it was like the entire time that he was keeping it standing, he was getting lit up pretty well. And not to say he wasn't going for a takedown, but I didn't expect him to immediately come out and go for a blast double, but I figured at least try to tie Obon Elliott up in the clinch and try to maybe try to wear him out like that, and then maybe try to shoot for a takedown. But he was keeping it striking for the most part in the first round and was paying for it. And then it was like, as soon as he got that takedown there in the second, it was, almost kind of too easy. And then he got the back immediately. And it was like, it was best case scenario for Obon Elliott to worst case, just like that. So, bad breaks for him. But, he's kind of got a little bit like a Dan Hooker to him a little bit, and we'll talk about him. But, good striker, fun, but just got to work on the takedown defense and some of that submission defense as well, man.
Yeah, man. Moving on up, Jacob Malkoun, Torres Finney, dude. This was one where Torres Finney was my most confident pick on the card last week. I was like, how does he lose this? this fight. He comes out there, hurts his leg like in the first round, and then DC on the broadcast said, yeah, Torres Finney was having some knee issues during camp. I'm like, why does this happen to me, dude? Like every time that I pick a fighter to win, like all of a sudden they had an issue in camp and like they're hurt going into the fight card, man. It's like, why does this, like, dude, I have a sick fetish for betting on fighters that are injured going in the fights, man. I don't know what's wrong with me. Like that one didn't even come out until during the fight that he had been dealing with the issue during camp. But Jacob Malkoon couldn't finish a late night snack at this point, dude. Like he won. But, this was the perfect candidate for our DNB last week. Neither fighter really did anything. Jacob Malkoon couldn't get a one-legged Torres Finney out of there. And, it just ended up being a bad fight. And I had to be honest, if this was like the only bet that I made last week, or it's like the only, I would say like the biggest bet like that I made, but I wasn't too upset because the two fights after I end up getting what I want. But anyway, what's your thoughts on Jacob Malkoon, Torres Finney? Because I wasn't happy about it.
Yeah, I knew you weren't, and I'll be honest, the only reason why I had any semblance of care for the fight is because it was involved in the pick champ, and that was it. Other than that, didn't really care about the fight. Kind of what I expected to happen. Because I think of Torres Finney, even if he didn't have a hurt leg, I just didn't see how he was going to beat Malkoon because he's not a great striker. He's throwing this big overlooping right hands, and if he can't take you down, he's cooked. So, yeah.
That's fair, man. Moving on up, Cam Rouse and Cody Brundage, dude. So, yeah, dude. Cody Brundage went out there and did the Cody Brundage, got knocked out in the second round. So I was happy that it happened. However, we're not allowed to bet it because Cody Brundage is involved in the fight because he's going to curse everything involved with the fight. But, shout out Cam Rousen for getting Cody Brundage out of there. What's your thoughts there, man?
Yeah, I mean, it was looking a little sticky there for Cam Rousen there in the first round because Cody Brundage ended up, I think he ended up hitting him with like a little short shot when, they were kind of exchanging in the pocket and dropped Rousen down to a knee and kind of had Rousen doing the, kind of like the little head nod thing, kind of like the Charles Oliveira when he's on, the Aljo and the Charles Oliveira when they're on the ground is kind of, bobbing and moving their head. But yeah, he was able to, recover, get back up, and really take over and dominate the fight from there. So yeah, it was a good performance from Cam Rousen to face a little bit of adversity from. I joke about Cody Brundage and stuff like that, but he's pretty well tested in the UFC. So for him to kind of for Rousen to get tested the way he did early, come back and still get the finish, just kind of shows the grit and toughness that he has.
Indeed, man, indeed. So that, cheered me up just a little bit, but I was, sad I didn't have any money on it. But the fight after, Billy Elkanah versus Junior Tafa, dude, I had Billy Elkanah via sub, my second biggest bet of the week, which ends up cashing, but not without, fear, man, because early in that fight, Billy Elkanah, kissed his toes, if you will, hit the ground, popped back up, dude. I thought he was out cold, but ends up shooting. Herb Dean did not stop it. And then from that point on, Junior Tafa wanted to stand in the middle of the ring and, throw. But Billy Elkanah obliged the first round, but round two ended up getting Junior Tafa down because he was gassed at that point, locking up the rear naked choke, and Billy Elkanah wins via submission. Thoughts on that one, man?
Yeah, this fight kind of went how I thought it was going, or kind of how I was saying that, man. I said last week, man, I wouldn't be surprised if Billy Elkanah got hit with a big shot and ended up getting put out, and he damn near did. He ended up getting dropped, and again, another display of toughness from Elkanah as well. And I'm still, and I said it last week. And then I hear the broadcast say it as well. DC and them are like, man, Elkanah is still small for like heavyweight. Like he is a skinny dude. Like he either needs a bulk up for this weight class or he can still cut down to 185. I'm still not super impressed with him. I'm impressed with his toughness because that that was one thing that I didn't know about him that, now I know, oh yeah, that guy it's going to take a lot to get him out of there. Like, he's not just going to quit because, hey, Tafa, if there's one thing we know, they can thud. And for Elikana to get hit with a big shot like that and be able to get himself back together and get it to where he knew he can win the fight was a good display for him.
Yeah, what you know about that son of Susie?
Son of Susie, you know what? Low key, kind of a hard name. And because the alliteration, son of Susie, like that just I don't know. Like it's original. I haven't heard son of Susie. You know what I mean? I mean, that's Elikana. I'll give him credit. He's still not the best in my opinion, but he's slowly winning me over.
That's fair, man. Main card time. Quillen Salkill, Jamie Malarkey. I think everyone and their mom had bet Quillen Salkill via knockout. He gets the round 1 submission. So that was sad. What's your thoughts there, man?
I mean, I expected domination, but yeah, he actually killed my cycle parlay because the last leg on that was Volkanovski by decision, and the first leg on that was Elikana by sub. So that was definitely painful to watch kind of flush down. But other than that, Salkill, that dude, he's we expected him to run through Jamie Malarkey. He was a -1,000 favorite. He won the fight as if he was that big of a favorite. But man, he's good, dude, and I think he's gonna be a problem. I mean, I think 3 of his first 4 fights have been finishes, and the only guy he didn't finish was Yanel Ashmoes, and we know how tough that dude is. I mean, I know he's not the biggest name in the world, but just he knocked out Sam Patterson, who Sam Patterson is doing stuff at 170 and putting guys out. So Yanel Ashmoes is a good win for him as well. Quillen Salkill is gonna be a problem, man.
Yeah, Tai Tuivasa, Towson, Teixeira, dude. In one of my wheel spins Friday, man, I picked this to go over 1.5 at plus money, and you didn't like it at all. So I don't think I bet it at all. Like, I was like, it's got no chance. Dude, this fight ends up going to decision where Towson Teixeira wins via decision. Dude, both fighters as soon as the second round started, were absolutely gassed. I knew from that point on, I'm like, oh, this is going to decision. And it damn well did, dude. I guess Ty had some moments, some chances. If he landed one of those big ones on Towson, maybe he could have got him out of there. But, dude, Towson Teixeira versus Shamil Gaziev, battle for who has the worst cardio, dude. That's going to be a fun one. What's your thoughts, Ty versus Towson?
Yeah, and to headline the Apex on top of that as well for Towson Teixeira versus Shamil Gaziev. That's a perfect like a throwaway card, like in the middle of September or something like that, like on a football weekend. But yeah, that was tough to watch. Tai Tuivasa, we were rooting for him, wanting him to get the job done. And I think me and you both genuinely felt that he had a good shot, and he had that little rally there in the third, and I think he dropped Towson Teixeira there in the third round. But man, it's just like Tai Tuivasa just suffers from the same issues, and it just seems like something that he's just not going to be able to get over, and that's he's not going to be able to work on any takedown defense, and he's not going to get himself in any better shape. Like, he's just not. Like, a lot of the rumor coming into the week was that Tai Tuivasa was in great shape in camp, and I even heard Izzy on one of his preview videos, make the remark that, Tai Tuivasa came in a lot lighter this time around in camp, and he had to cut down to 265 and a half. 265 and a half. Now, if he's Francis Ngannou cutting down to 265 and a half, okay, understandable. He does not have Francis Ngannou's frame, and I know he's fighting a heavyweight, but you cannot tell me that does not play any factor into his cardio with him walking around as and of course,
dude, over 300
athlete out of shape, but
over 300.
But man, if you want to compete at this level, there are some things you got to tighten up, and that's just one thing for Tui that as much as I'm a fan of him, and I hate the Shuey as much as anybody, but I wanted to see it this weekend because I do want to see him get back on track, but it just seems like that he just keeps kind of falling to the same things that have plagued them for the last couple losses now.
Yeah, Antoine wants in there. Do you think they actually cut Ty? He's a fan favorite. I don't know, man. It's been like what 6 losses in a row now, man.
Yeah, 6 losses in a row now. So I mean, it's a tough situation. I still think they keep him for one more fight. Reason being is just because we're heavyweight is such a dump. But if you're on 7 losses in a row, like I mean, that's Sam Alvey, Tony Ferguson levels to where we don't care how deep or not deep the division is. If you can't display any form of competitiveness at this level, there's no need for you here.
Yeah, I got you. We got Fiziev versus Mauricio Hufi. Fiziev gets knocked out in the second round, dude. Mauricio Hufi lands that one shot, as his name implies, man. It was a close fight until then, with Hufi getting pressured for the most part on his back foot, throwing the one shot every now and then. But in the second round, that was all that it took, dude, was that one shot, put Fiziev on wobbly legs, and then just finished up, man. What's your thoughts on Fiziev versus Hufi?
Yeah, man, that was tough because I had obviously I had bet Fiziev when we were watching the fights, and I definitely had some confidence in Fiziev to get the job done. And
He had even flipped to the
early.
favorite.
Yeah, exactly. He ended up flipping to the favorite, and in the first round, dude, he looked sharp. Like he was he was pressuring Hoofy and was Hoofy was trying to get that distance, and it was hard for Hoofy to land that jab. Fiziev was kind of. I liked the way he was kind of like slipping and was kind of coming over top with them hooks and, was backing Hoofy up the whole fight. But man, Hoofy, he just, was able to finally get that range after all, and it was starting to get that jab going a little bit. And, I'd even mentioned it while we were watching the fights. I was like, man, Fiziev starting to wear a little bit of damage because his eyes were starting to get a little swelled up. And then about that time was when Hoofy finally, got that range. And I actually went back and I watched it like a couple different times, and I didn't realize it's actually almost like the same exact punch that Anthony Joshua landed on Jake Paul. Like it's the left to the gut and then the right hand over top. Perfect punch and good finishing instinct for Hoofy, because I did think that Fiziev was going to get enough time to recover, because we saw Fiziev get dropped by Gaethje and he was able to he was able to get his bearings with him and recover, but Hoofy did not let him have that time. Every single time he was able to kind of, hold the back and keep Fiziev down, landed money shots, and got a well-needed win. And I think Hoofy's stock is right back up to where it was. Maybe not before the BSD fight, or maybe not before the BSD fight, maybe before the Bobby Green fight. But I still think people are going to be pretty hyped on Hoofy.
That's fair, man. We got Dan Hooker versus BSD, man. This was another one where I feel like Herb Dean could have stopped it, man, but he just let Dan Hooker just get elbowed to hell, man. It's like, come on, Herb, are you gonna let him die in there? But BSD wins a second round ground and pound. He had, I guess, fucking Dan Hooker, fucking mounted and just elbowing away. But it got there from, I don't know if like fucking Dan Hooker went for a shot, was trying to fake a shot, but he just ended up falling down on his back, and just BSD just gets on top and just starts raining down blows. I'm like, well, that was dumb. What's your thoughts here, man?
It's just a scratch. It's just a scratch, Joe. Yeah, man, I was hoping that Dan could pull it off, and I don't think it was necessarily like a takedown that he went for. I think it was more just kind of like an exhaustion clinch, just to kind of just clinch, try it up for a second, and then just try to maybe push off and get space. But of course, as soon as you collide with BSD, that's really what he wants. And that was kind of like, I think that was more of a mental exhaustion error that Dan Hooker kind of made, because BSD was getting crushed with those teep kicks from Dan Hooker there in the first round, because you even saw BSD kind of clenched down, and he was bringing that arm in and was definitely trying to block the body. And what's the best way to kind of stop those kicks is just nonstop forward pressure. And Dan Hooker was he was backing up and he was throwing some big shots there. And when they were throwing the exchanges, I was like, man, I can see Dan Hooker landing almost like how he did with Gilbert Burns, where he goes the left to the body and left to the head. Like, I was kind of envisioning and hoping one of those moments would come true, that he would land one of those big shots and get him out of there. But BSD that's kept the nonstop pressure, got the takedown, and once he got it in the middle of the octagon, when he got the takedown, I knew it was all but over for Dan Hooker. And Herb let it go on way too long. Maybe just a hometown guy, but yeah, and plus just a tough turnaround for Dan Hooker too after coming off the Saryukian loss not that long ago. I mean, I know he wanted to fight back home, but yeah, not ideal circumstances for him either.
I agree.
But
we
great
need
win for BSD.
Moicano. We need Moicano versus Dan Hooker, man. It has to be made at some point.
I mean, it's almost like we almost know the result of what's going to happen in that fight. I mean, as much as I hate to say it, I could, if I'm being honest, I could see them doing Hoopy and Dan Hooker if Hooker's going to turn around this year.
Maybe, dude. Maybe. Anyway, we got Volk versus Diego Lopez. Volk ends up winning this fight via decision, but I mean, I guess that's what was expected, dude. Diego Lopez come out and said that he broke both of his feet during the fight by, kicking Volk's elbows, which I get it, man. Nothing really changed from the last fight except for Diego didn't land the shot to, drop Volk or anything. Maybe Diego won one round, but aside from that, man, Volk wins. What's your thoughts there?
Yeah, well, Diego landed that right hook there at the end of the second round where, Volkanovski dropped to a knee. But other than that, I mean, if I'm being honest, I think Volkanovski actually ended up, looking a little bit better in this fight than he did in the first fight. Like, I thought that, Diego Lopez looked like he had made some adjustments, but, Volkanovski just really just countered those adjustments well. I know everything was mentioned about how Volkanovski was circling to the right, to his right last time, and then now this fight, basically Volkanovski just circled the other way and just had Diego basically chasing him the whole fight. And there was a couple of times where Volkanovski landed big shots where it looked like he was stunning Diego Lopez. Like Diego Lopez had kind of gotten he didn't get dropped, but he kind of almost stumbled for a second and kind of almost had to shake his head and kind of get himself back into it. So, Volkanovski, obviously one of the greats, some would say the GOAT at featherweight. I would say it at this point in time,
Same.
and just another feather in his cap, man. Just showing how great he is, but kind of really showing why this fight was unnecessary to happen. And I'm not going to keep blabbing about this, but just and it's not even necessarily Diego Lopez's fault because who's going to turn down a title fight? Obviously that's what Diego Lopez is going to fight for. And Volkanovski is not going to say no to the UFC necessarily. He can maybe make some suggestions on what he might want. He called out Lerone Murphy and called out Mavzar, but ultimately ended up signing the paper for Diego again. But it was just, that was the biggest reason why it was such a head scratcher for me for the UFC to push Diego versus Volkanovski, because I feel like you were risking Diego in terms of some of his stock publicly. And I think he could eventually turn into a guy where, he always fights at the top, but he never gets it done or anything like that. I know we finished John Silva and everything, but I just think that the UFC put Diego Lopez in a very tough position to where I think Diego Lopez's stock took a hit after this fight, if I'm being honest. And as long as Volkanovski's champ, we'll never see Diego Lopez back there. So just and I don't expect Volk to be around forever, but just a tough situation for Diego Lopez.
Yeah, man. I agree, dude. So we will move on into not the fun part about to be for me for the show, but maybe it'll be fun for you guys. So we have this new segment called the Wheel of Doom. Yeah, man. So how it's going to work here, we have two wheels going. I'll spin the first wheel. If it lands on fire, then I'll spin the second wheel to, I guess, figure out which fire bean I'm going to eat. But if it lands on sour, then I just have the mega sours. But we got fire bean boozled here as well. So this should be fun, dude.
Hey, question.
Hopefully it's fun.
So
What's up, man?
For the sour candy, we're just basically, where are we going salivate on it for 30 seconds or what are we?
No, you just gotta leave that bitch in your mouth. You can't fucking spit it out.
Okay, so then we'll just we will eat the sour candy.
Eating both of them. No spit outs, fire or sour.
Oh, okay.
Because it's edible. Because it's not like
Okay.
fucking bad. Like, it's just gonna be hot.
Yeah. Well, I just didn't know because I know the sour is more of a hard candy, so I didn't know if that was going to, impede you from doing the podcast or.
Anyway, we'll find out. Dude. I don't know. So
Ooh-wee. That boy nervous.
Man,
Yikes.
Here we go. We'll spin the sour fire, dude.
Yikes.
Oh, it's gonna be sour.
Oh.
No spinning of the fire wheel today. Fire beans stay closed until another week. God,
boy,
God damn it, dog. Oh man, dude, I am nervous. I'm not gonna lie, man.
The moment is here.
I got the raspberry
this,
flavor, dog. This is about to be terrible.
I've been waiting on this, man, because like I said, Amber and the kids, they tried it last week, and
dude, my mouth is already. Dude, look, this is blue. This is blue underneath there. Under there, that's
my
blue.
tongue is literally turning to like a dry sponge right now. Like just looking at that.
Oh god. All right, here we go, dog.
Big tap on my side, baby. Let's go.
Dude, my mouth is already twitching. All right, here we go. Oh. Oh, dude. It's so bad. Dude.
You literally look like the warhead. Like you literally look like the warhead logo.
Oh, dude, it's not going away. It's still there.
That's why I was like, dude, you want to eat the whole thing? Like,
all you gotta do, chew it in half. It's a hard candy.
Yeah, right. Hey, that's why I said, like,
dude, it's still sour. Dude, it's so sour, dog.
Oh man, your mouth is like how my whole body was when Jared Cannonier was about to finish Marvin Vettori, and I had Jared Cannonier by decision. Like that's how my whole body was just watching that. I was just tense, just shelled up.
Oh, dude, that was bad. Not gonna lie.
As Antoine said, describe the taste.
Dude, it's like you're putting like 5 warheads in your mouth at once. Dude. Dave only swallows, no spits. Yeah, dog. Yeah, that was for sure the most sour thing that I've ever had in my life.
So has it died down now?
Yeah. It's okay now. Like it just tastes like a candy now. But that is about what felt like 4 minutes of pure violence in my mouth, dude. I'm just like, because it's just so sour. Anyway.
Dude, that's brutal. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not looking forward to that, dude.
You sure you don't want some dirty dishwater? Yeah. There's Amber.
Yeah, I heard her upstairs. Laughing.
Dude, that's so sour. Dude, if anyone wants to try them, feel free to get them. They're on Amazon. They're called Mega Sour. They have a whole bunch of different flavors. That's bad though, not gonna lie. Dude, my face is sweating, dude.
Yeah, dude. Like that's brutal. But hey, fun little twist that we wanted to add to it, and that was ultimately of your doing, because you dropped me off a bag upstairs as well. I got it sitting upstairs so it doesn't get any weird type of flavoring while it's down here in the ice box down here in the basement. So
how much was the bag? I think I ordered in a 3-pack, Antoine, for like $20. So I don't know, less than $7, I think. I sweat. Yeah, dude. Under my glasses are sweating. Yeah. Dripping in tears. All right. Well. All right, Heroes. Let's see. What do we got going on for the rest of this? Dude, I can't even think now, man.
It's almost like the. Have you ever seen Hot Ones, the show with the wings? Like when they.
Dude, in the middle, stuff's coming out of it now. It's sour again. Yo, dog. Oh.
Hey, Dave, that ain't no reason for that. I'm just sitting here minding my own. I'm minding my business. Don't mind me.
I think my screen's frozen, so that's not good. There we go. You're scouting the internet for a less sour replacement. Oh my goodness.
Crazy.
You know, they've already called on to you, Deros.
Yeah. Nah, like it's definitely a Hot Ones episode. Like when they eat like the super spicy wings and all of a sudden like Sean Evans is like, hey, describe your darkest moment in your childhood that scarred you for the rest of your life. And you're just like, like I don't know. I don't know. Like my brain is scrambled right now. Yeah. Yeah. It is brutal. Dying.
All right, Deros. Let's get into our UFC news and fight announcements. We got Vinicius Loke Dog Oliveira fight this weekend. His team says that he needs to lose 23 kilograms to make weight, dude. That's like, I think 50 pounds, man. I think so.
I mean, it makes sense. Because he's not a small dude. I mean, I know Ricky Simone's not the biggest dude.
Yeah, 50 pounds, man.
Yeah, but he was sized up against Ricky Simone. Like, it looked like two different weight classes. So, it doesn't surprise me.
Dude. This
It's
fucking
back.
handy, dog.
He's back.
It's like every now and then, like a little hole will fucking puncture in it and just shit just like sour and it shoots out of it, man.
Yikes.
D-Rose got some blue raspberry. He wets and rolls bone sugar to get the event. That's correct.
Dude's crazy.
D-Rose's never going to live it down, man. Never going to live it down. Let's see what we got.
Oh, man. Hey.
Check out MMA Orbit. I haven't heard that much news this week, man. But I did see this earlier. Brandon Moreno versus Loner Kavanaugh is going to be the UFC Mexico flyweight main event because Asu Amabayev ended up pulling out of that fight. So what's your thoughts on, I guess, getting knocked out by Charles Johnson and then getting a step up against fucking Brandon Moreno? That makes sense.
I mean, well, and then you see what happened to Charles Johnson too. So it's like, and was that I don't want to be too hard on Leonard Kavanaugh because I still do think that he's good, and he was tuning up Charles Johnson before that happened. But yeah, I mean, I guess he just said yes to the opportunity. But man, that's still for the way Moreno looked in that fight against Tyra, and I know Tyra's a different beast, and I said that fight would stop pretty early, but Moreno's got a little bit of something to prove too here. That he's got to prove that he's still wanting to fight at this high level. He's mentioned being burnt out before, so hopefully he's not back at that phase again.
Yeah, man. Let's go assassin, baby, though. Here we go. What's your news that came out? I mean, what's your thoughts on the news that came out earlier in the week that, fucking Shavkat hurt his knee in rankings and he's going to be out for at least 6 months, and the UFC has now took him out of the welterweight rankings in the meantime.
Yeah, I mean, it's unfortunate. I mean, it sounds like I don't want to be like doctor or anything, but they said knee injury that's keeping him out, 9 months or so. I mean, it sounds like some type of ACL or something like that. And in my opinion, if it's something that's going to keep him out for that extended period of time, and you don't want anything like that to happen to such a guy who had a lot of promise, who was supposed to fight for the title. He was supposed to fight for the title, ended up fighting Ian Gary, had the knee injury, was going to fight Bilal, and then had to pull out of that fight because he got the knee injury, and has now hurt. I don't know if it's the same knee. I hope it's not the same knee, because if it's the same knee again, who knows if this dude will be the same, after all this is said and done. So, having that much time away from the octagon from a guy who, we had a lot of promise for, it sucks, but hopefully he can bounce back.
I agree, man. I agree. Let's see what else we got here. We talked about that. Here we go. Look, we're gonna figure out who's gonna fight for the title next. D-Rose. Movsar Evloev versus Lerone Murphy, UFC London, March 21st. You think this fight happens, man?
Yes, just because I think that I think Movsar sees this fight as a favorable matchup, and I think Lerone's just taking the fight. I mean, he's just kind of going with it at this point, because and I heard him in his interview with Ariel the other day. I know they kind of did like a little quick interview because it was announced pretty quickly. Lerone was, more or less like, am I going to get a title shot after this? Words, I can't remember exactly what he said, but he more or less said, words mean nothing, essentially, because, he was not saying that he said that he was going to be getting a title shot after the Pico win, but they seemed to kind of fluff him up pretty good during that moment, and then still kind of forgot about him to put Diego Lopez in for the title shot. Now you have Lerone Murphy having to fight again, while Movsar Evloev has been off for about a year and a half. And yeah, just a tough situation for both guys. But if I'm being honest, I do think Lerone Murphy is more deserving to fight for the title right now. But hometown fight for Lerone, favorable matchup for Movsar. You would have to think the winner's going to fight for the title, right? Like, I mean, they would have to fight for the title.
You think so, man?
It makes sense. You would think, but I don't know. That's maybe that's a far-fetched thought.
Yeah, man. And then we talked about it like last week. We saw Tom Nolan versus Renato Moicano, I guess, kind of being targeted. You said, ain't no way Renato Moicano is going to take that fight. And now it looks like Esteban Rubovic says that he's been offered the Moicano fight at UFC 326. That'd be an absolute banger. I know we'd both be a fan of that fight. Yeah.
No, that'd be I think that'd be a good fight. And I mean, honestly, Moicano would keep it on the feet, but I could see him looking to take it down too. But I could see that fight being a little bit beneficial for both. And Rubovic is just a little bit more proven and known in the UFC than Tom Nolan as well. Even though I would think that Moicano will want to take, maybe want kind of like that veteran type fight. I'm not saying Jim Miller, but like you said, if it would be awesome if Dan Hooker didn't take this fight against BSD and was maybe able to take this fight against Moicano. But yeah, if he ends up fighting Rubovic, I think it'd be a good fight for both fighters.
I agree, man. I agree. See if we got anything else on here. Doesn't quite look like it. T-City out of the Renato Moicano fight, but that's clear at this point. We got Aaron Tao tried to pull the DC.
Yeah. Did we talk about Patchy Mix yet?
Nope. That happened this past week.
Yep. Absolutely crazy, man. For Patchy Mix, who, and again, you can ask Matt. I was one of the guys who I said, man, I said he's top 5 in the world regardless. I never said that he would, absolutely come in and storm through the UFC and win the UFC title. But, I thought after that Bellator tournament run that he had, where he, finished Raytheon Stotts and finished, Magomedov and those types of guys, I said, this dude is top 5 and he can compete with anybody right now. Like, that's how good he is. For him to come in, and of course, the Mario Bautista fight was tough. He took the fight on short notice, 3 weeks, whatever. He didn't make a big deal before the fight about it, but he made a big deal about it after the fight. Then he ends up taking the fight against Jakob Wicklox, who and he's fighting this weekend, so we're going to preview his fight. He's a good fighter, a champion out of what was it, Ryzen? I believe he was a champion out of Ryzen.
Something like that.
KSW? Yeah, I think it's KSW.
It don't matter.
It don't matter. Yeah, either way. Patchy Mix ends up taking a fight against that dude, and it's that dude's UFC debut, and Jakob Wicklox is taking the fight on short notice. And Patchy Mix ends up going in and just not even looking competitive, dude. And I watched a lot of that Bellator run that he was on. That dude and the guy in the UFC are not the same guy. Like it's just not. I don't know if it was the bright lights in the UFC. I don't know if he talked a big game and ended up almost shitting his pants. I don't know what ended up.
Maybe it was he was on steroids and
maybe. And I promise I was getting ready to say maybe there was something that was giving him an enhanced performance. I don't know, but whatever happened in that transition to the UFC is just unfortunate to see compared to what he was doing in Bellator. And again, Magomedov, I know you can say the competition, whatever. Magomedov is a guy who has a win over Peter Yan, who gave Peter Yan his first loss before the UFC. And Patchy Mix went out there and finished him, submitted him. So, you see that, and it's all crazy, man.
Yeah. I like that top comment there from the big leagues.
I don't have the screen maximized. You said the big league?
So on the page, it looked like fucking Patty Mix right now.
Yeah. That's messed up.
Don't expect to call anytime soon, gang.
That's messed up.
Yeah. Do you think he's top 5 disappointment ever? Probably top 3, maybe even 1.
Yeah,
top 3 and not 3 or 2.
Top 5 for sure. Top 3. I mean, I'd really have to go back and kind of think. I know Will Brooks was another one who,
maybe CM Punk
guy. No, I mean, as far as like, I mean, I know Vanderlei Silva technically had like an early run, but then coming into the UFC from Pride, he wasn't really that great. I mean,
Sage Northcutt.
I guess I'm thinking in terms of coming from another promotion.
I got you.
I can't.
You don't say that. Like he just has to see top 5 disappointment. There's been a lot of disappointments though.
Yeah, definitely a lot of disappointments. But I'm thinking about it more in terms of coming from another promotion. But top 5 for sure, and in that department. Ben Askren level, man. That's another one too. I mean, even though Ben Askren technically had a win, but Ben Askren didn't have a win.
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. All right, brother, man. Well, let's get into the fights for this weekend taking place in Vegas. We've got UFC Fight Night, Mario Bautista versus Vinicius Lock Dog Oliveira. Fight's taking place at 5 p.m. East Coast time, so hopefully D-Rose is off in time for the work. Hopefully you guys, get some snow early Saturday. D-Rose gets called home early around, 4:30. He gets to watch those fights that start at 5. Anyway, taking place at the Meta Apex. That's what it's called now. We've got 13 fights to go over, and it will be headlined by, as I said, Mario Bautista taking on Vinicius Loc Dog Oliveira.
I said, do we have a fellow?
Vinicius Loc Dog Oliveira. Gotta play that. Anyway, in the co-main event, we got Amir Albazi taking on Kyoji Horiguchi in his second fight returning to the UFC. Feature fight of the night is Yelton Malhajinho Almeida taking on Rizvan Kuniev. We got Mikhail Oshaychuk taking on Powerbar Marc-Andre Barrio. We got John Matsumoto taking on Farid Basharat. We've got Dustin the Hanyak Jacoby taking on Juicebox Julius Walker. We got the Great White Alex Bruno taking on Danil Donchenko. We got Nikolai Veretinnikov taking on Nico Price. That one just got added earlier this week, man. We've got Bruna Brazil taking on Caitlin Souza, Saeed Nurmagomedov taking on Javid Basharat, Kong or Tong Wong taking on Eduardo Mora. We've got Muin Gafarov taking on Jacob Wicklats. We talked about him a little bit ago. And our opening fight of the night is going to be Zombie Girl Priscilla Cachoeira taking on Baldiev. Was going to fight Julius Walker. Obviously, Salty Baldiev is gone. Ryan Spann was going to fight Rizvan Kuniev. Ryan Spann is gone, so Jelton Almeida's stepping in. That fight fell off altogether, and Jose Henrique Souza was going to fight Nikolai Veretinikov. So that means that I think Nico Price is on short notice as well. So a few short notice fights to note. But with that being said, D-Rose, we'll jump into it. With the first fight of the night, we got Priscilla Zombie Girl Cachoeira taking on Claudia Sugulia. Priscilla Cachoeira, Zombie Girl, 13-7 overall, 37 years old, 5'7" and a 65-inch reach, while Claudia Sugulia is 7-2 overall, won 4 of her last 5. She's 27 years old, 5'7" and a 69-inch reach. Yeah, dude, this is tough because Claudia Sugulia, actually, I'll just put it like this. Both of these girls like to fight by their appearance in these photos. That's how these girls like to fight. You know, Zombie Girl is mean, ugly, going to get in your face, throw bombs. As where Claudia Sugulia wants to stay at distance, pick and poke for it to be a very pretty technical fight. I'm not going to lie, dude. It's tough. If I was forced to bet something here, I think I would take the over because I haven't seen that Claudia Sugulia's got like a bad chin or anything like that. The odds for the fight currently plus 130 Priscilla Cachoeira. Claudia Sugulia is minus 150. Over unders 2.5 here. I don't mind the over, but I guess give me Claudia Sugulia via decision. Just have Zombie Girl kind of chasing her around the octagon for 3 rounds, just getting picked and poked at while while Zombie Girl is not able to land her knockout shot, if you will. What was the first time you saw Don't Be a Menace, man? I was probably like 13 or 14 minutes long.
Yeah, I'd say somewhere around there for me too. And I'm not going to have an in-depth breakdown on this fight, because it kind of like the way you broke it down is kind of the way I see it. But I still think that Cachoeira is still going to be just a little bit too small up at 135. I mean, I know she's tried to make the weight at 125, and continually has missed weight, and I still think that Sugulia, I know she's not the biggest bantamweight, but I do think that she's going to have the size and the reach advantage. As you said, she likes to try to keep the fight, try to keep it, pretty, don't try to get, in the scrap too much, keep it at range and use her shots. I think she's got the reach to do that. I was hoping that, I was going to say maybe a submission. I was going to maybe try to get, not hopeful, but I was going to maybe try to get a little tricky, get a little cute, but I'm going to go stick with my gut here to say Sugulia by decision.
All right, me and D-Rose on the same one there. We'll move on to the next one where we have Muin Gafarov taking on Jacob Wilkats. Muin Gafarov, Tajik, if you will, is 26-0 overall out of his last 5 fights, 3 wins, 2 losses. 29 years old, 5'7" and a 68-inch reach. While we saw Jacob Wicklats fight Patchy Mix last time, and as you said, D-Rose, he was the KSW champion there. 29 years old, 5'9", 72-inch reach. My issue with Jacob Wicklats is I don't know how good he is because clearly Patchy Mix wasn't that fucking good. So how do we rank Jacob Wicklats at this point? Because if it's a competition about who has the better back patch of hair, I'm picking Muin Gafarov. Unfortunately, we're in a fight and back hair does not matter here. I think what sways me in the Wicklats way is Muin Gafarov's, I think, inactivity. He'll just do nothing for a long time and then swing a few big shots and hope that he lands one. He's won 3 out of his last 5, but only being Diego Silva, lost to John Castaneda, lost to Said Nurmagomedov, beat Kyung Ho Kang and Rinya Nakamura, which Rinya Nakamura decided to just strike the whole fight when we know when Gafarov can get taken down. If Jacob Woodclatz comes in there with the same game plan that he had against Patchy Mix, single leg, take down, run the pipe, stay on top, give me Jacob Woodclatz to win this fight via decision. Odds for the fight are currently Muin Gafarov is the favorite at -140. Woodclatz is the dog at +120. Over under is 2.5. Over over is -135. Under is +115. Yeah, give me the dog to win via decision, Deros.
Yeah, I think that's a good pick. For me, I kind of see the fight, very very similar to how you kind of see the fight. And for Gafarov, for me, I mean, I think for his, as you said, he's 3-2 in his last 5, and the 2 losses that he's got, John Castaneda, who we know is a pretty good wrestler, and Said Nurmagomedov, who he's not the best wrestler in the world, but if you try to shoot a sloppy takedown on him, he can get you with them chokes. And for Jakob Woodclatz, for what we've been able to see, he's got pretty good wrestling and pretty good ground control. I think he should be able to have the tools to get it done, in my opinion. So I'm going to go Jakob Woodclatz here as well. I think Muin Gafarov is tough, so I think the submission is going to be kind of hard to get. But I think if Woodclatz gets the back, I would not be surprised. I might even bet it, but just in terms of my official pick, I want to say Woodclatz by decision.
That's fair, man. We'll move on to the next one where you got Wong Tong taking on Eduardo Mora. Eduardo Mora moved up to a flyweight 2 fights ago, 1 fight ago. 2 fights ago, and then she beat Veronica Hardy and Lauren Murphy. In the meantime, while the Joker, Wong Tong, is 8-1 overall, her only loss ever is to Gabriela Fernandez, where she got head kicked and then choked, but she was just real cocky, confident on the feet, and she got cracked, man. Wong Tong, 33 years old, 5'6", and a 66-inch reach, while Eduardo Mora, Ronda, if you will, 12-1, 31 years old, 5'6", and a 67-inch reach. For me, dude, I think if Eduardo Mora can't grab you, get you down, I don't think her striking is necessarily good enough to win an entire fight, especially against a pretty solid kickboxer that is Wong Tong at this point. Odds for the fight, though, are Wong Tong -350, Eduardo Mora is +285. Over under here is 2.5. The over is -190. The under +160. I feel the same. I agree with the odds. Give me Wong Tong to win this fight via decision, man. Just more cleaner, probably land the more powerful strikes. Just has Eduardo Mora just kind of chasing her around, trying to grab her, and not really able to. What's your thoughts here, man?
Yeah, I think Wang Tong's one that I think people have been excited about for a little bit, and we know she did have that slip up in her second fight. Who was it? Gabrielle Fernandez, when she had that slip up, got that head kick to the rear naked choke, and it was a beautiful sequence for Fernandez. But Wang Tong has been able to kind of get back, and she's been a little bit more reserved in her fights now. She's still kind of got a little bit of that show-off type style, but she's definitely toned it down a lot since that Gabriela Fernandez fight, and I think it's kind of locked her in a little bit more. And for Eduardo Mora, she's tough as all get out. She's got really good takedowns. She's got decent striking, but she's going to look to get the fight down to the ground. Man, I do see this fight being where
trains with Golden Almeida, if that helps you at all.
Yeah, that's what I said. So she's definitely going to look to get the fight down to the ground. But I kind of see it as you as well. I do think Wang Tong's going to be using her footwork, kind of not dancing around, but just having Eduardo Mora kind of chasing her. Eduardo Mora not cutting off the octagon and just kind of eating shots at a distance. So I think Wang Tong gets it done by decision.
That's fair, man. We'll move on to the next one, where we have Said Nurmagomedov taking on Javid Basharat. The Basharat that has now lost 2 in a row, followed by a draw against Victor, or actually no contest against Victor Henry, where he got spinning back kick to the nuts, and then over there in like Abu Dhabi. Like the ref was like, "You didn't get hit." He's like, "Well, I can't feel my balls." Or some shit. But he kicked me right in the dick. Anyway, lost the unanimous decision to Amin Zahabi as like a -1,000 favorite there, and then got smoked by Ricky Simone in the first round. Javid Basharat's 30 years old, 5'9" and a 69-inch reach, while Said Nurmagomedov's 18-5 overall out of his last 5 fights. He is 1-2 and lost 3. Win over Saidi Kakramanov, where he was getting wrestled that whole fight and then locked up the guillotine there. Lost against Dragon. Win against Moin Gafarov in the hair patch. Loss against Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira, and loss against Thug Nasty Bryce Mitchell. Come to Arkansas 2-3 years and forget. That's what Bryce Mitchell said after. He is 33 years old, 5'8", and a 70-inch reach. Odds for the fight: Said Nurmagomedov plus 110, your underdog. Javid Basharat minus 130, your favorite. Over under is 2.5 here. Over 2.5 minus 290. The under is plus 230. D-Rose, I have gone first the past 3. I'll let you go first, and let's see if we still agree on the same side, even after me picking first and you agreeing with me. Let's see if you can break the little streak here.
Yeah, I mean, for me, for this fight and the breakdown, Javid Basharat, I will admit I've not been the biggest buyer on him, even early on in his UFC run. I thought the Tony Gravely fight, I was rooting for Tony Gravely. He's a local guy around here, but I did think, Tony Gravely really pushed him. And, since then, you can almost make the argument that he's kind of dwindled since then. And, man, that knockout against Ricky Simone was brutal. So it is good that he was able to kind of take some time off. He's got good striking, good leg kicks, but he does not have a finishing bone in his body. He will not finish his midnight snack, let alone would he finish a fight in the UFC. So, his brother, who we'll talk about here in a little bit, he's got a little bit more of that aggressive attitude. And for me, for Said Nurmagomedov, we know he's got that Nurmagomedov name, but not necessarily coming from the Khabib camp. I know we mention that almost every time we talk about him, but it almost seems like it needs to be mentioned because somehow people still try to associate Said Nurmagomedov with Khabib, and it's like, no, they're not. They're not the same at all. Nowhere near the same fight style, and Said is not nearly the wrestler that Khabib and that crew is either. Now Said's got some really good submissions. But so for me, my biggest thing in this fight is the Bryce Mitchell fight was a little bit alarming to me for Said Nurmagomedov because that's Bryce Mitchell is the guy who I did not think was going to have any sort of power advantage against him. He's going to kind of take the fight into turn where not necessarily Said wanted it to be because he wants to keep the fight standing. But he's definitely down to get into a scramble fest if need be. And for him to get out wrestled by Bryce Mitchell was a little bit more alarming. But I don't know if Javid Basharat has that same counter wrestling. I think Said's going to come out here just trying to get a win, dude. Farah does have the better technique. But I think Said can kind of go technique for technique with him, get it a little bit dirty, get it into the clinch, maybe get a couple of takedowns. I think Said gets it done by a questionable split decision here. Give me Said Nurmagomedov.
All right. I like what you said, and I even agree with everything that you said, even down to the point where I think Javid Basharat has better technique, and I personally think that's what proves to be the deciding factor in this fight. Just candidate for me for DNB of the week. Neither one of these guys is going to do anything. It's going to be boring as shit, but I'm going to go Javid Basharat to win the fight. Just like D-Rose said, by sketchy split decision. Dude, this is a close one. This is truly a close one. This is Fight Night Vegas 113. And our first different pick is Said versus Javid. I'm on Javid. D-Rose is on Said Nurmagomedov in our first different pick of the night. So, moving on to the next one, we have Bruna Brazil taking on Caitlin Souza. Yeah, this is one that I know a lot of y'all are going to hate, but these are two ladies that I feel like I have got a good feel on, D Rose. Cash one of my biggest bets ever with Bruna Brazil beating Molly McCann in England. I saw that coming a mile away. And D Rose, if you compare those two fights, do you see much of a difference in the two fights between the Molly McCann fight and this fight?
I'll let you finish.
All right. Odds for the fight currently. Caitlin Souza minus 150. Bruna Brazil is plus 130. Over under is 2.5. Over is minus 350. Under is plus 280. Yeah, I think earlier in the week I was maybe like questioning who I thought might win this fight. And I think the more that I thought about it, the more that I looked at it, I've seen Bruna Brazil handle this fighter so many times. Might not be pretty, might not be entertaining, but I will take Bruna Brazil to win this fight via decision as the slight dog. What about you, D-Rose?
Yeah, I mean, and I can sort of kind of understand where you're coming from, because Caitlin Souza does kind of have that bulldog type style. I would almost kind of compare it to, because you could look back within her most recent fights. I would almost look back as kind of like a Luma Lukbumi type matchup. Now I know their striking is a little bit different, but I do think that Caitlin Souza is good with using her leg kicks to kind of get herself in the range, and I think that Caitlin Souza has big power. Where I think Bruna Brazil, she's more of the precision type striker, but once it kind of gets inside and gets nerdy, so here's my thing with Caitlin Souza. Caitlin Souza won her last fight against Pierre Rodriguez. Like, that's another one that we can go back and call a robbery, because there was no way Pierre Rodriguez won that fight. You can make the argument that she won the Angela Hill fight. So, in my opinion, Caitlin Souza should be coming in here on a 3-fight win streak right now. And she's looked good in those fights, even though she has lost them. In my opinion, she's looked well in those fights. Where Molly McCann, I think she has trouble cage cutting. She just kind of chased Bruna Brazil. I don't think Caitlin Souza is going to have a problem with that at all. And it's going to be in the apex as well. So it makes me feel a little bit better about Caitlin Souza cutting off the cage and closing the distance. Give me Caitlin Souza by decision.
That's fair, man. That's our second different pick of the night. Starting to reel them off here, man. Moving on up to the next one, we got Nikolai Veretennikov taking on Nico Price. Short notice for Nico Price. I'm not breaking this one down. Give me Nikolai Veretennikov to win this fight via, let's go first round knockout. What about you, D-Rose?
Man, sadly, I'm with you. Yeah. I think first round knockout. Nico Price, love him. He's been one of my favorite fighters. He's one of those fighters who was like the most unknown fighter that you were the most excited to watch. Like, he's one of those guys who, like, all
Vicente Luque type.
Yeah, exactly. And he's had 2 great fights with Vicente Luque, by the way. He's very much one of those fighters who's always delivered. But yeah, his time has come. He cannot take damage the way he used to. I know they're both 36, but that 36 on Nico Price is a much different 36 years old compared to Veretennikov. Veretennikov is not the best striker, but he can land, and Nico can get taken down pretty easily, and Veretennikov's got pretty good takedowns as well. So yeah, first round knockout for Veretennikov.
He's gonna retire, or he's gonna make another baby. Yeah, he's got lots of kids for Nico Price. Moving on to the next one, we got another one, kind of like the last one. Alex Morono, Danilo Donchenko. Dude, I haven't seen Alex Morono checked in for a fight in probably since before the Court McGee fight, dude. My favorite fight of him to watch ever is this one 10 months ago. I don't know if he is recovered from the damage that he took from Carlos Leal 10 months ago, dude. That was the worst I've ever seen Alex Morono look. Is he going to look better? I don't know. On the other hand, Danilo Donchenko, I picked Cezinando to beat him in his last fight because I thought Cezinando was going to just wrestle him. He's been training with DC, getting his takedowns right. That didn't matter. Donchenko stuffed all the takedowns and beat the brakes off of Cezinando, dude. This is another one I don't want to spend too much time on. Alex Moreno's 35, 5'11", 72-inch reach, and probably going to come into weigh-ins looking all doughy. While Donchenko is going to come in there shredded. He's 24 years old, same height, an inch shorter reach, but I'm going Danilo Donchenko to just go in there and beat the brakes off of Alex Moreno. It's probably going to look something like the Carlos Leal fight. Give me a round one knockout for Danilo Donchenko. What about you, D-Rose?
No, my Alex Moreno just wailing his hands against Carlos Leal because he's just trying to keep him off of him. He's just like, oh, back up,
get away from me.
Just some straight arm punches up with his back against the fence was just wild to watch. But yeah, I think you said it perfectly as well to analyze Alex Moreno as not being checked in because when he lost that fight to Nico Price, and again, I know he took the fight on short notice. I understand. But, dude, a minute and a half into that fight, he was gassed and was literally like, we know that bounce that Alex Moreno has when he fights. He has that same
love handles were not bouncing that night.
Yes. No, feet were planted and he was not going anywhere. Like, dude, it was so... Like, for me, I know for you, the Carlos Leal fight is the funniest thing to watch. For me, it's the Nico Price because he immediately gets tired in the fight.
I did it because I had bet Alex Moreno. I'm like, what the fuck?
Yeah, no, man, as my title belt falls over here, but
it's all right because you're dropping that shit this week.
No, that's one of the funniest things to me, man, dude. I'm telling you, if there's any way you can go back and watch that fight on like 2 times speed, just to get through the. How sludgy it was, but just seeing Alex Moreno just standing there exhausted, looking like Taliesin Teixeira, it's hilarious. But Danilo Donchenko, tough dude. I know he won the tough fight, and I did pick him to win too. But when he got out of that fight, he was like his eyes were lumped up, he was bleeding. So it wasn't like he didn't do it without taking any damage, but I don't know if Alex Moreno is in the position to be delivering that damage. Let's go, Danilo Donchenko, round 1 KO.
And Anton wants to know if you've watched any regional fight cards, D-Rose.
No, I don't really. I mean, I'll watch like highlights for stuff. I'll see stuff on like the Fight Pass page where I'll catch some highlights and stuff, but I'm not necessarily going out of my way to watch regional fights.
All right, moving on to the next one. We got the Hanyak, Dustin Jacoby taking on Juicebox, Julius Walker. Dustin Jacoby, 21-9-1 overall, 37 years old, 6'3" and a 76-inch reach. Won 2 out of his last 3, being a win over Bruno Lopez, a win over Vitor Petrino. He did lose to Dominic Reyes and lose to Alonzo Minifield, and a win before that. I watched that live. I picked Kennedy to win that fight, and then I watched him get snoozed about 100 feet right in front of me. Anyway, Juicebox Julius Walker, 7-1 overall. His only loss is to Alonzo Minifield in his UFC debut 11 months ago. He is 26 years old, 6'4", and a 78-inch reach. D-Rose, Juicebox is currently the underdog at plus 160. Dustin Jacoby is minus 185. The favorite. Over under is 2.5 here. The over is plus 105. The under is minus 122. I have no reason to pick Julius Walker this week, D-Rose. The only way he wins this fight is getting the takedowns relentlessly, just grinding at Dustin Jacoby. But Dustin Jacoby is for sure the better striker here. So if this is a distance striking, I think Dustin Jacoby is going to, light Julius Walker up on the feet. But being 26 years old, the same size, even a little bit bigger, having the game plan, get in there, win the cage push Dustin Jacoby up against the cage and win this fight via decision. Give me Juicebox Julius Walker as the dog to come in here and win the cage push. I'm probably going to regret it, but it is what it is. What's your thoughts here, D-Rose?
Yeah, because this one is definitely getting locked into the pick champ. Because I'm one. I will raise my hand and tell you that I picked Alonzo Minifield and I bet Alonzo Minifield in that fight against Julius Walker because I was just not impressed with the guy. for him to come in and be that big of a favorite, and he didn't really look good in the Rafael Sakura fight. Who that dude gets finished by
The guy putting Vaseline on him.
Yeah, and you mean to tell me that Dustin Jacoby can't finish this dude? And Julius Walker is also taking the fight on short notice because Jacoby was supposed to fight Johnny Walker initially, correct? And then Johnny Walker ended up getting hurt. So
yes, and then like fucking Julius Walker was going to fight this upcoming weekend, and his fight got fucking pulled out too. So both fighters are taking it as a replacement fight. Do you know what really?
Well, then Julius Walker isn't coming in on like a short notice. Then necessarily.
Yeah. You know what really sways me to the Julius Walker side after you have locked in your fight as picking Dustin Jacoby? What is really me?
I'm locked in with Dustin Jacoby. I was going to say knockout, but I'm going to say by decision.
So do you know why I'm going juice box? This is what the deciding factor for me was. Dustin Jacoby was scheduled to fight in Australia this past weekend with his teammate, Cody Brundage. So he went in there to corner none other than Cody Brundage. So he didn't fly back until this week sometime, and he's going to fight in Vegas on Saturday. That's a 24-hour flight, and none other than cornering Cody Brundage. I can only imagine that Cody Brundage is going to be in his corner too, which makes it an automatic L. So let's go, Juicebox Julius Walker. He's got the Cody Brundage curse on the Jacoby side. No changes now, D-Rose.
I'm completely content as long as I don't have to pick Julius Walker. I will pick against that dude every time.
All right, fair enough. We have 3 different fights so far. Jean Matsumoto taking on Fawad Basharat. Jean Matsumoto is 17-1 overall. 26 years old, 5'6", and a 68-inch reach. His only loss ever is to Rob Font via split decision. Fawad Basharat, 14-0, undefeated. The better of the two Basharat brothers, if you will. He's 28 years old, 5'8", and a 71-inch reach. Kind of like his brother. Not so much finishing instinct. I think he might have one in the UFC. Yeah, over Clejason Rodriguez, which I don't think belongs in the UFC. But aside from that, not much finishing instinct. Will, point strike. He's got solid takedowns, and he will control you when it gets to the ground. And I think that's what happens here because John Matsumoto, out of all the fights that I've seen, I know Dan Argueta took him down. I know Brad Cantona took him down. He did lose to Rob Font via split decision, which shows that he can be, outpointed there. And he beat Miles Johns via split decision, which in old Miles Johns winning via split decision, not the best look in the world, D-Rose. I have to go Fawad Basharat to win this fight via decision just because I think he's looked better over in all of his fights. He performs basically flawlessly, as where I've seen John Matsumoto in some tricky, tough positions and even lose to Rob Font a couple fights ago. Which way are you going here, man?
Yeah. For me, I mean, John Matsumoto, I actually, in my personal opinion, I thought he won that Rob Font fight. I thought robbery would be a very strong word for that, but I did think that he won that fight. And for Fawad Basharat, he's a guy, as you said, the better of the Basharats, but not necessarily the most aggressive guy as well. But I would say he's much more aggressive than Job Basharat. Like, as far as like the feet, I'm not gonna say he's a little bit more willing to scrap, but he's a little bit more willing to let go, and try to fire off his weapons. But I do think for John Matsumoto, I'll be honest, I want to pick John Matsumoto because for me, it's a thing. I do think Fawad Basharat is good, but it's something about the Basharat that I'm just not all in on. John Matsumoto just, as you said with the Miles Johns performance, he just didn't do anything. Like, it went down to a split decision because he just didn't do anything in that fight. Like, he didn't try to take him down. Like, he might have landed like a couple jabs, like a couple leg kicks. Like he did almost absolutely nothing, and it was while Miles Johns was able to make it a weird fight as it was. So if you're going to come in fighting like that, I think Basharat is much more decisive with his shots. So I think Basharat is going to land more overall as the fight goes. Good takedown defense. Give me Basharat by decision.
All right, that's fair. We've got 4 fights left. Probably gonna pick the same on most of the 4. We got Mikhail Oshaychuk, 21-9 overall, won 2 of his last 5. 30 years old, 6 foot, 74-inch reach, taking on Power Bar Marc-Andre Barrio. Out of his last 5 fights, lost 4, won 1 of them over D Rose himself, sent him back to selling Kias. 35 years old, 74-inch reach, 6'1". D Rose, if this fight was 5 years ago, I might take Power Bar to get in, get the clinch, get the takedown, and ride out, end up winning this fight via decision. But dude, after getting what is this one? Joe Pyfer. Okay, I understand why he got knocked out by Joe Pyfer. But getting knocked out by Dustin Stolfoots after you just went in there, took him down, stood up, and then we're like, all right, let's bang now, and just got fucking smoked by Dustin Stolfoots. Not the best look in the world. And then Char Bullet just went out there and just fucking styled on him. But I think we know at this point, Char Bullet doesn't have the most power in the world. So no chin for Power Bar anymore. His power level is, depleted, if you will. Give me Mikhail Oshaychuk to come out there in his little side stance. Fucking come out there, throw hooks. Give me Mikhail Oshaychuk to win this fight. Round 1 knockout. How about you, D-Rose?
Come on, there, the heavy boxing style, just not giving a damn. Like that is one thing I will give Mikhail Oshaychuk. I've always kind of like shouted him out a little bit just because, dude, even when he was fighting up at 205, again, massively undersized at 205, but literally just walking forward, not caring about what his opponent is throwing, and just ribbing body shots and just trying to get the hands to come down just so he can land big hooks over top. And dude, he's always been successful with it. He's been a little bit more measured in his shots now that he's training with the fighting nerds and them. So I'm glad to see that he's kind of able to get a team, get himself a game plan, and he has fought smarter since then. And he's still, we might need to check the birth certificate to make sure, but still only 30 years old. Kind of shocking to me. So he's still at a phase where, he's kind of like, I would say, in the prime of his career. Give me Michelle Oshaychuk. I'm going to say round 2 KO. I think he ends up hitting Power Bar with a body shot and gets him out of there.
Sucks the Power Bar down. Antoine wants to know, will you be off by this fight, D-Rose?
By that fight, I think I should be. I'm supposed to be off by 5, but again, if a car deal's there, we staying late, so I never want to guarantee anything in this business.
Fucking D-Rose trying to slang them K's out there. Anyway, we got Jailton Almeida taking on Rizvan Kuniev. Jailton Mahajino Almeida, 22-4 overall out of his last 5 fights, won 3, lost 2, lost to Curtis Blades and Volkov via split decision. I personally think he won that fight, but I ain't going to complain about it. He's 34 years old, 6'3", 79-inch reach, while Rizvan Kuniev, 13-3 overall. He lost to Curtis Blades via split decision 7 months ago. Close fight, though. He's 33 years old, 6'4", and a 76-inch reach. This is a guy that I have a hard time judging how good he is at this point. And I've seen Jailton, go out there, front kick fat dudes in the face, shoot for the takedown, get them down, and then either stay on top, do the Donkey Kong, or get the rear naked choke. So I'm going to go Jailton to get back to his winning ways this week via round 1 submission. Could be Donkey Kong ground and pound, but I'm going to go via submission, D-Rose. Which way are you going here?
Yeah. I'll be honest. I've been back and forth with this fight. This is one that. So I'll say this. I thought Kuniev super exceeded expectations in his first fight against Curtis Blades, because I was very high on Curtis Blades going into that fight, and he performed well. And he stuffed a lot of Curtis Blades takedowns, and he was able to keep it on the feet. And a lot of people think that Rizvan Kuniev won that fight. For Jailton Almeida, he's obviously super talented. He's got a lot of fights under his belt. He's got high level experience. Rizvan Kuniev is live. Jailton Almeida I'm going to reluctantly say he gets it done because I think he's going to learn from that mistake against 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 Alexander Volkov to, hey, just because you get the takedown does not mean that you're going to win the fight. Like, you have to do something, not just laying down with your head on his chest and just praying that the fight's going to be over here soon. That's not going to win you these fights. So he has to understand that. Man, I ain't even gonna dance around it. I'm picking Kuniev, dude. I don't know. I just can't pick Jelton Almeida. I'm sorry. I can't do it. Give me Kuniev by decision here.
All right. That's our fourth different pick of the night, D-Rose.
Yeah. I almost said Jelton Almeida, but dude, I can't. Jelton Almeida is a guy who, similar to Vitor Petrino, I've just never bought in on. And this is kind of one of those cards where it's a bunch of guys that I just can't buy in on. Jelton Almeida may go out here and take him down every single time that he wants to, but he doesn't do anything, and he's boring. Give me Kuniev.
That's fair, man. That's fair. We got 2 fights left. Amir Albazi, Kyoji Horiguchi. We haven't seen Albazi in, 16 months? We haven't seen him, 14 months is the last time we've seen him. So in the past 3 years, he's fought one time, came back looking like ass against Brandon Moreno. He's 32 years old, 5'5", and a 68-inch reach. While Horiguchi, we saw him in his return against Tagir Ulanbekov, went out there and styled on Tagir. Tagir didn't stand a chance in that fight. He is 35 years old, 5'5", 65-inch reach, still moves like he's a young gun, if you will, still quick, in and out, kind of got a Dominic Cruz style, if you will. I got Kyoji Horiguchi winning this fight via decision. No really need to go any further in detail. What about you, man?
Yeah, this fight card is the D Rose not bought in fight card of the year, because there's you got the Basharat brothers that I'm just not bought in on. You got Jelton Almeida, and you also got Amir Albazi, who I've never been that high in stock for him. Again, I will go back and say he lost that Kai Kara France fight convincingly. Like, it was very levels of Yiza Konofly, level robbery it was for Kai Kara France. He won that fight, no way around it. But for some reason, he got awarded the win. For all that time, had a bunch of injuries. Then he came back and got absolutely styled on by Brandon Moreno. And there's nothing to be ashamed of about that. It's just, to me, that I never really thought Amir Albazi was on that level, and I thought Brandon Moreno showed him that. And I think even before the Tagir Ulanbekov fight, I would have picked Horiguchi to beat Amir Albazi. Now, seeing that fight, I feel even more confident that Horiguchi gets it done. Amir Albazi's tough, but if I'm being honest, I think Horiguchi could even get the finish. I actually, I'm going to go for it. I think he's going to end up just wearing so much damage on him. I think Amir Albazi just finally falls and calls it. I think Horiguchi round 3 KO is the way I'm going to go.
That's fair. You think Kyoji could beat Josh Van? I don't know, man. I have a hard time with the whole Josh Van situation.
The thing that sucks is that I hated that Horiguchi waited so long to come back. Now, I mean, he's, he still looked fast. Tagir Ulanbekov, he looked very good, but it's going to be hard to maintain success after 35. But that's why Horiguchi has to fight for the title. Basically after this fight, whenever the next title shot opportunity is, he has to take it.
Yeah, man. So, main event time, D-Rose. We have Mario Bautista taking on Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira. Mario Bautista, 16-3 overall out of his last 5 fights. 4 wins, 1 loss. His loss was to Umar Nurmagomedov 3 months ago. He is 32 years old, 5'9", 69-inch reach, and loves to hold you up against the fence. While, on the other hand, we have Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira.
I said, do we have a talent? Huh?
While Lockdog Oliveira is 23-3 overall. Out of all of his fights, dude, he's only been finished, or he's only lost when he gets flatlined finished, man. He out of his last fight, he's 30 years old, 5'9", 70-inch reach. Yeah, dude, I think UFC is doing everything they can to get Mario Bautista to lose. They want to keep him as far away from the title as possible. As you see with this matchup, dude, we got the number 7 ranked bantamweight taking on the number 18 ranked bantamweight, not even ranked in the UFC top 15. But I think UFC is like, we need Mario Bautista to take some L's because the fans hate him for what he's been doing in his fights, man. And, deservingly so. He's good at what he does, but, man, that shit is so boring. I don't want to see that, dude. And so they bring in Vinicius Lockdog Oliveira that comes down, hands down, fires from the hip, all kinds of power, finishes his combinations with leg kicks, which I like a lot because you don't see it too often, and I feel like fighters aren't really expecting it. So for me, Mario Bautista's tough, but give me a Lockdog to come in here, do more damage over the 5 rounds, and yeah, win this fight via decision, man. Which way are you going here?
Boom. I'm glad we could ride together. I'm not even going to break it down because you broke it down exactly how I feel about it. Give me Lockdog here. He's one of my favorite, kind of, I would say young up and comers, but I think he's well known and established at this point. And I know he's only got that first KO win against Bernardo Sopai, but even in like those other fights against Saeed and Kyler Phillips and Ricky Simone, and he's fought some good guys already, and man, he has looked like really good. Like he ended up gassing out Saeed and would just dominated Saeed. I mean, if I'm being honest, I haven't seen Saeed dominated like that. But I've seen Saeed lose fights, but not dominated. He absolutely whooped up on Kyler Phillips. Kyler Phillips had that good first round, but after that first round, dude, Vinicius Oliveira made it look easy. I think he's going to be bigger than Bautista, so I don't think Bautista is going to be able to get the takedowns. And Oliveira's just got that wild style. He's hard to hit, and he's super strong. Oliveira gets it done by decision for me.
That's fair, man. So we finish out the card with 4 different picks. With 4 different picks, so that leaves 3 and the backup. And because D Rose is the reigning pick champ this week, your boy gets to pick what goes in the pick. So can you guess what fight I'm throwing out / is going to be the backup, D Rose?
Walker and Jacoby. Duh.
That's correct, man. That's correct. So our 3 different picks this week for the pick champ, for whoever spins the wheel of doom next week to eat fire bean boozled, or this bullshit that I had earlier that it's bad. It's the most sour shit I've ever had, to be honest. So, yeah. So with that being said,
got the boy, don't he? Good day.
Yeah, our pick champ for this week will be Saeed Nurmagomedov versus Javid Basharat, where I am on Javid Basharat. D Rose is on Saeed Nurmagomedov. Pick number 2 is Caitlin Souza versus Bruno Brazil, where I am on Bruno Brazil. D Rose is on Caitlin Souza. Our backup is Jacoby versus Walker in case one of the 3 fall out. But the third different pick on the card is Rizvan Kuniev versus Yelton Almeida, where I got Yelton Almeida. D Rose got Rizvan Kuniev. So officially for the pick champ, Saeed versus Javid, Souza versus Brazil, and Kuniev versus Jelton. D Rose, how you feeling this week about the pick champ?
I mean, shaky as always, but we ride. So we riding regardless.
Yeah, man. Antoine says he's the game on. I think it's double overtime between Denver and New York right now. I was waiting on the Spurs game to start.
I was watching that game as I was eating dinner, getting ready for the podcast, and I did not realize that game was still going on. It's crazy.
Fit Dave, we need something that makes Matt puke in the bag. That's fucked up, Dave. That's fucked up, man. I'm all right, Antoine. Just looking for a job, man. Looking for a job. Will you be betting on the Super Bowl? Of course, of course.
Antoine, is it cold outside right now? Ask yourself that. Is it cold outside? If the answer is yes, you know damn well we are.
Dearest, how does this make you feel that
your weather fucking versus like this week for here. High of 77, 73. Fucking dude, I don't miss the cold there at all. It's in the 70s here this week, which I am okay with. I'm okay.
It's going to be 58 on Tuesday, but not until then.
Yeah. Anton wants to know what your prediction is. Dave wants me to throw up in the bag. Yeah.
20-17 Patriots. I think last second field goal gets it done for them.
Low scoring game, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah. For me, it is give me the under in the first half. Give me the Seahawks to win outright. Give y'all a quick little parlay there. Me and Hero split on that.
But you said the over?
The under in the first half.
Oh, okay. I was like,
so under like 22 points in the first half.
Yeah, so you're kind of with me.
You ain't gonna be bragging when it's like 110 in July. No, Dave, it's just about to be hot, dog. And watch Bad Bunny. Probably not, man. I'll probably be having a smoke break during that time.
Probably smoke break. Probably eating some food. Yeah, we making like we're gonna do like wings, sliders. We don't do like a whole bunch of stuff, but we're gonna do some we could do some pretty good food stuff this weekend. So
that's fair, man. That's fair. All right, man. Well, I'm gonna get off here. Try to catch you into this Spurs game that I think started a few minutes ago. But yeah. With that being said, appreciate y'all for stopping by here, hanging out with us tonight over here on the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. If y'all haven't already, hit that thumbs up button for your boys. We will catch you guys next week for the recap to the show. We don't have fights next weekend. We'll still be here recapping this, going over news. One of us going to be eating beans or sours, so on and so forth. So we'll catch you guys next week for the Golden Octagon MMA Podcast. But until then, y'all stay safe out there. Don't be betting more than on these fights the way you can afford to lose, because at the end of the day, it's a fist fight and anything can happen. So me and D-Rose catch you guys next week for the recap. With that being said, tuna can and cowtail out. Peace.